Hi, I'm Rhonda Massad, and I am honored to be here with Dominique Anglade. She is the first Canadian politician who currently serves as the leader of the Quebec Liberal Party and the leader of the official opposition of Quebec. She has served as a member of National Assembly of Quebec since 2015, representing Saint-Henri and Sainte-Anne. Not my St. Anne's, but your St. Anne's.
That's right.
She was the first woman to lead the Quebec Liberal Party, the first Black woman to lead the provincial party in Quebec, and the first person of Haitian descent to be a cabinet minister in Canada. You were formerly associated with the Coalition Avenir du Québec, and we want to welcome you here at the West Island Blog. How are you, my girl?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well and very happy to be with you.
Thank you. We are very, very pleased to have you on today because West Islanders have quite a few questions for their Liberals, because we are technically a kind of a Liberal riding, and we want to make sure that all of our questions are answered. And I thought it was important that people got to know you in our ridings, because it's important for us to connect with our leaders and know who to vote for. If you don't meet you, we can't know who to vote for.
Right. And I totally agree with this. And this is really important for people to connect, ask questions. And for me, it's really important that we can answer a lot of the questions that people have. We don't do this enough as politicians. So this is something that I really enjoy doing.
Oh, I'm glad. And it's easy with the internet and Zoom. We don't even have to be in the same city.
That's right.
I love it. Okay, so let's get started. We asked the West Island Blog followers what their questions were for you. We had about 70 questions. So we're not going to do that today, but I do urge you to go over to the comment section and check it out and see if there's anything you could wind up and clarify for people. So
we'll do that.
All right, so question number one, I will give the preamble and then I will just ask the question, a little bit of context. Mm-hmm. So healthcare and long wait times is one and only at the ER of the West Island real issues for us. We more often than not, seniors required adapted care, home care, long-term care, and are not able to receive support that they need. I know this because I'm living this. Oftentimes, elderly patients will be cared for at home with little to no support. How about giving a grant or a paycheck that would cover the cost of a person helping out? Because in my case, we have two 80-year-olds, my parents, and one is taking care of the other, and it makes it very complicated. What are your plans to support those seniors caring for other seniors?
So there are many things in your question, and I'm just going to start off by saying that in general in Quebec, we really focus on hospitals. When we talk about healthcare, we talk about other hospitals and how we're supporting those big institutions. But we need to start thinking about how we're going to support the people. Like when we talk about les maisons des aînés, the best house, the best place for you to be when you get older is your own house. That's the best place that you want to be in. So in order to do this, what we need to do is to provide, first of all, support for you to stay at home, or to provide support for people that are taking care of you. And this has a number of benefits. First of all, it's the right thing to do, because this is what the elderly population wants to have. This is a human way to think about how people grow older, but also from just an economic standpoint, it just makes sense because it is less expensive for the state to do this. And right now, I find post-COVID, what I find is that we talk a lot about our construction, and we need to build les maisons pour les aînés and les maternelles 4 ans, a lot of concrete stuff, concrete buildings, as opposed to thinking about the investments that we need to make for the people, accompanying the families, investing in human resources. And human resources mean the people that are sick. It means the people that are looking after the people that are sick. It means people that are older, not necessarily sick, but they need to be in an environment with their family. And the other element is we've seen that with COVID, older people that were not sick started become sicker because they were alone, because they didn't have enough interaction. So all these elements are really critical for the future of Quebec. So let's start thinking about what we're going to do for humans in our society, rather than focusing on the construction, because it's the old way of fixing the economy back in the 1970s, back in the 1950s.
Okay, so we're going to look at maybe supporting the caregivers.
Absolutely, caregivers and services for people, and it can be healthcare services, but it can also be intergenerational support as well. This is also important. So a number of elements that we need to look into, but it's a change of mindset. it's not the traditional mindset that we had in the past, but that's where we need to go.
Okay, thank you for that. Question from Danielle St. Pierre. Typical democratic process gives the members of any party the right to vote for their candidates. In the last election, the Liberal members gathered and interviewed several candidates for 3 West Island ridings. None of the names put forth were considered by the Liberal Party leaders at that time. 3 of the West Island candidates bypassed the process of being voted in by their members. How do you explain this, and how do you feel about that, democratically speaking?
As I was running for in the leadership race, I said myself that we need to give more voice to the members of the Liberal Party. And one of the issues that we have with the Liberal Party is that a lot of times members feel that they're just taken for granted, and we call them simply when we need them. We need to change that. So they need to get involved. They need to get involved in the policy making. They need to get involved when we select candidates. What I did say, my commitment was that we would have conventions in most of the riding, but not in all the ridings. I didn't commit to all, and there's a simple reason for that, is because we want to make sure that demographics, we have a balance of men, women, different people from different regions that are well represented, different generations as well. But generally speaking, I think it's a good democratic process. So there will be, under my leadership, it will be conventions. The majority of the people of the candidates are going to be selected through conventions. If you ask me specifically about a riding, I won't be able to answer because I'm not there yet. I've been in my position for 3 months, and we're going to start looking at those issues and the questions in the near future. But this is the principle that I'm going to be using, and I think we have to be very transparent. Sometimes we say, oh, it's an open convention for everybody, but at the end of the day, this is not what happens, and we all know that. So I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what, when I say it's open, it's open. When I say it's not, it's not. But the guiding principle is you want to have a system that is as democratic as possible.
Yes, and currently the West Island doesn't feel that it is. Just to keep.
So I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. Max123 asked, 13 demerged municipalities on the West Island and a little bit beyond that, most of which are West Island, pay more than half of their taxes to the Aglo of Montreal, which covers police and fire and etc. West Islanders cannot vote to participate in the choice made for Montreal leaders, while 50% plus of our tax dollars is given to the city and we have no say. They cannot participate fully in aquatic programs, libraries, etc. We have to pay like we're foreigners. What is your plan to correct the ongoing saga for West Islanders who have actively protested against this? We have protested, we have stood in the streets, and
you've done a lot of work to raise that issue on that over the years. And last time we met, I remember, well, not last time we met, maybe the first time we actually had an interaction, this is the question that you also had. And I told you I didn't know much about all of it, and I needed to follow up and meet with a number of people. I know that Pierre Arcan and Marie-Claude Nichols from our team met with the mayors. I was supposed to meet with the mayor just before, like physically meet with them just before the COVID, and that got delayed. But this is something that is a real preoccupation, and we need to sit down with Montreal and look at what the options are on the table, and we need to raise the issue. So what I find is that, as you were saying earlier, sometimes members feel that they're taken for granted by the Liberals, but Montreal is also taken for granted in the government of Quebec, generally speaking, because they vote one way and not the other, so it doesn't become an issue. And one of the things when we had discussions with Pierre Arcan, who is our previous leader, but also the porte-parole for the metropolis, is that we're going to have a caucus next week. This is a topic that we will be discussing, like the role that we want to see the metropolitan area play, and how the West and all the demerged cities are going to be included in that. This is a topic that's going to be part of our discussion, and the reason why it's going to be part of our conversation is also because you brought this issue forward, and a number of people did as well. I'm very conscious of that. So I don't have the answer, but I know the issue. I think that we have a number of things that we can look into in order to find a solution for this. But the whole idea of taxation without representation is never really healthy in a democratic system.
It kind of got that way in all defense of all of us. It's kind of been over time. It got that way. Nobody's addressed it, but it, you know, wasn't, I don't think it was intentional. Nobody was malicious at the time, but now it's turned into a problem.
Yeah, and again, the first thing to do is to raise the awareness, and then the second thing is, okay, let's talk about the issue, and let's find some solutions. Nothing is going to be perfect, but
No.
what are the issues that we can put on the table in order to discuss this? And you know what? There's going to be an election. There's going to be an election next year, and these are the topics that people might want to bring forward.
Yep. Okay. Number 4. This is a question from Rhonda herself. Elections Quebec does not have the mandate to discipline infractions that occur during municipal elections. They are mandated to manage the financial end of elections and any discrepancies that go in that area. If there is a dispute or a contestation in the count or challenges regarding protocols that may not have been followed, there is no recourse available except to consult the legal clerk of the city in question. Should the issue take place on or shortly after the election, the newly elected officials are in charge of the legal clerk that is in fact, it's a conflict of interest, and it triggers, there is no resolution possible during those times. So will you be able to correct the void in the democratic process?
So I will definitely be able to raise the issue, but I don't think that we need to wait to be for the Liberals to be in power in order to do this. I think as elected officials, this is something that we can take on and look into. And this is a specific one that we can ask, for example, Marc Tanguay, who is our representative and porte-parole in justice and all linked to all those questions. And Marc is very dedicated. So this is something as a position that we can certainly start working on and look at the different alternatives. I understand the issue. I understand that this conflict of interest, there's no resolution once it's over, especially if you're the one impacted and you're the one affected by that and you lost the election. So this is something that I'm going to ask my team to look into with Marc Tanguay.
If you could send Marc Tanguay a solution, I do have a solution, non-financial solution. I do. If you just switch out the legal clerks from one city to the other city on the day of the election, so then,
yeah,
you know, Jane, who works for Beaconsfield, is now working for Kirkland for the day, then the conflict of interest would be addressed to a clerk that doesn't belong in the city that she's actually working in.
There is my press attaché, Léa Carrière, who's listening to all this and taking notes. So thank you for the suggestion. And by the way, Rhonda, since you're bringing a proposal forward, I'd just like to tell all the people listening to you is that we're going to be looking for proposals, ideas, and I know that you have a number of them on your website, and people are always communicating with you. So this is something that I want to tell people, like you should be sending as much information as you can. Don't feel afraid to do so, because we take notes and we want to act upon. We can't fix everything, but a number of issues we can work on, certainly.
How did they get in touch with you?
Oh, they can get in touch with me with my email, dominique.anglade@asnat.qc.ca. But you know what? We can put a link also, maybe a link with your
yes, we can.
Your blog or whatever the best way to do it, and send information. So we'll make sure that we do that. And again, my press attaché is, I see her shaking her head. So,
okay. All right, Leah, keep going. Keep taking notes there, because we have a question. The next question comes from Sheila Bicknell. She asked, as the opposition party, what things have the CAQ done well recently, and what would you suggest they improve upon moving forward?
So far, I think if you look at the COVID crisis, I cannot say that they managed the whole thing well, and I'll get back to that. But I think in terms of communicating with the population, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, getting information on a daily basis, convincing people that it's the right thing to do to stay home, and providing the information, sending not in English necessarily, because it was all not in English, but generally speaking, that communication process, I think, went well. Besides that, though, I think there are a number of issues that we have with the current government. First of all, we got the worst results in Canada. We are the 54th state out of 60 in terms of results, the number of people that have died versus our population. These are terrible results, and we need to recognize that. And one of the issues that, one of the reasons why it happened is because the government did not anticipate anything before March 9th, whereas Alberta did, British Columbia did. And one of the questions I had for the Premier last week was like, what did you do, you as the Premier, what did you do before March 9th? And the answer is nothing, because Dr. Arruda knew about the crisis January 12th. He even said that there were going to be consequences in Quebec if he was getting out of China. He got out of China. The virus got out of China on January 13th. Our porte-parole, healthcare spokesperson, André Fortin, asked very specific questions 5 times to the Minister of Health back on February 13th. And they said, it's all under control, there is a plan, no issue. I said, well, are you sure there is a plan? Because we need a specific plan for that virus. No, everything is under control. And this lack of anticipation has led to the fact that we didn't have enough equipment, has led to the fact that we didn't have enough testing, we didn't have enough warning. People were moving from one place to the next, and it got out of control. So at the same time, when you are in government, your responsibility is also to anticipate, to listen to what's going on, and make sure you have a plan in place. Entering the second wave right now that we are entering. So I have 3 children, and they started school yesterday, and it went well. So I'm knocking on wood, and you hope that everything goes well. But you can tell, for example, regarding sports and the sport programs that are in place, that it was not thought about, it was not thought through. They have issues, and there is a petition today with respect to this. I think it's over 50,000 people that signed the petition within less than 24 hours. And you realize that everything is improvised, that they haven't thought through this, and they need to be more agile, and they need to answer questions when we have those questions, because the role of the opposition, it is to suggest new ideas, but it's also to raise concerns about how things are being managed. So I think we need more consistency. We need more anticipation. They need to listen a lot more than what they're doing today. And they need to stop being so stubborn about some ideas that they have, that they're going to be investing in concrete and in Maison des Aînés and in Maternelle 4 ans again, because this is the commitment from the last election. They need to be we need to make sure that we realize that post-COVID is going to be different than the period before.
Pre-COVID, yes. Okay, question number 4 or 5. Joanne Galli, she proposed this one. What is your plan for better access, more efficient, faster, coordinated healthcare for rare disease Quebec population? I have a few friends with this particular concern.
That's a tough one. And this is something that I want que je vais prendre en délibéré, comme on dit. Okay. I could be answering, it's Madame Gagné who asked the question. I could be answering a number of things and that are not going to be, it's going to start looking like a politician answering any question. Okay. On rare disease, and I have friends that are impacted by that, I have children that are impacted by that quite heavily actually. So this is something that I would like to get back to you on. And you know what? Perhaps I could get the email of Madame Gagné, and
it's Joanne Galli, and I will provide that.
It's Galli, and it's not Gagné, it's Galli. So please, and we can follow up with her directly, and perhaps Joanne has also some recommendations. I'm going to ask my team to look into that. Absolutely.
She's very experienced in this area. Her family is very implicated in this area, so it's a good to talk to actually. Kimberly Pepe said, what is your plan for better access, more efficient, coordinated healthcare for rare disease? That was Joanne, sorry. What is your plan? This one comes from François Dion. What is your plan for more affordable housing?
Well, affordable housing, honestly, there is money on the table. It's not that there's no money. I live in a riding, Saint-Henri-Sainte-Anne, where we have probably one of the area with, I wouldn't say the most needs in Quebec, but it's coming pretty close. So I live this on a daily basis in the riding of Saint-Henri-Sainte-Anne. There is right now money that has been put on the table by the federal, but the money has not been given or has not been shared because the federal government and provincial government can't get along on finding how the money is going to be spent. And who is really impacted by that? It's all of us. It's all of us. It's all our ridings that are impacted by that. It's really not acceptable. So the the critic that we have on this topic has been working and asking questions around this. We're going to keep focusing on this. Again, it's not always the case, but in this case, there is money associated with this. And I think it's a matter of political will to get it done. And I feel that people are getting extremely frustrated because they see what's going on in other provinces and the money is getting there and they can actually work on social housing, and we can't in Quebec, which is really unacceptable. So this is a problem of jurisdictions, and we're gonna be holding the government accountable on this.
Okay, Monique McKay asks, what is your plan for everyone to have a family doctor in Quebec? Tough questions, ladies.
There is, but I'd just like to make a comment because a lot of the questions are, what is your plan and what is your plan? And I want to say something. In politics, we want, like, especially within the Liberal Party, one of the things that I want to change is for people to feel that they are engaged in the solutions, and it's not going to be top down all the time, and they're not going to come in the next election in 2 years and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to wait and see what their plan is and I'm going to vote for it. I want people to engage themselves and to feel that they're part of the solution, that they can propose things around healthcare. Access is a problem in the West Island, I know that. Les GMF, the only way you want to bring more access, we need to have more clinics that are available for people to access those clinics. I mean, that's how we're going to be able to make sure that people have access to their doctor. In the COVID time, and I know not everybody is happy with that, but in the COVID time, telemedicine, you could reach a doctor by phone, you could reach it. There are ways to simplify the way you can have access to doctors with telemedicine, distance medicine. I'm not sure what the exact terminology is, but there are ways to do this right now. And we've started doing this with COVID. It was quite accelerated. And I really hope that we keep going in that direction, because I think it has a huge implication for patients. So I think more access physically with clinics, but also more access with telemedicine. And I used it myself, and honestly, it was really positive. Just one anecdote. I was just in the townships for the last 4 days. I was in Estrie, and one of our members said, I don't want to have anything to do with a doctor on the phone. You know, this is not something that I want, and I really want to see them. I have a good relationship. I hate this new system, etc. So it's not for everybody. I understand, but there will be a way to have more access throughout the system as well, and simplify things for all families.
I think even having a balance between the virtual and the physical, like, you know, if you've got a lump on your chest, you're not going to do it on the phone.
No, you're not going to do it on the phone. But somebody in my house broke a wrist, and honestly, we didn't know whether it was broken or not. It looked broken to me, but I wasn't sure. Just getting a doctor to look at it on the screen and say, "Okay, Dominique, somebody needs to go to the hospital and take an X-ray." Well, we didn't spend the night thinking about it and waiting until the next day to see if it was broken or not. We got to it very quickly. So, I mean, sometimes it does work, and it speeds up some of the processes.
Okay, Claude Prévost asked, why did you agree to finance Bombardier, Cirque du Soleil, as well as other money-losing companies in Quebec? We all had because of poor governance. This is not. I gotta say, you bail out companies that are huge, but you don't bail out companies that are little. So
first of all, Cirque du Soleil, I'm not involved in Cirque du Soleil, so this is something under the CAC, and you can definitely. This is a question for the CAC, especially that now they might be moving to Ontario, and we'll see what happens with that. Bombardier. We have an economy that's partly based on innovation, and a lot of this innovation, 70% of the innovation money, comes through the aerospace business. It's 40,000 jobs in Quebec. It's a significant business in Quebec. When you have a company like Bombardier, which is basically running bankrupt you have to really think about how you're going to get yourself out of the situation. Nobody wants, I'm telling you, if you're in politics, you don't want to have this file on your table. You don't want to have to deal with this file because it's a complicated one. But at the end of the day, the reason why we decided to go ahead was the fact that there were too many jobs associated with that, too many jobs that were critical, not only for the families themselves, but for the whole environment. 40,000 jobs, it's really significant. So we decided to go ahead and invest in this, especially in the C series. Why was it important to invest specifically in the C series? Because it was the area where we had the most workers, where it was created in Quebec. We had a lot of knowledge, and it was going to be difficult anyway to move this knowledge elsewhere because of all the whole base that we had here. So we went ahead with that. And I have to say that today, if you look at the Mirabel plant with Airbus today, well, they are working with over 2,500 people in that facility. And if you compare it to other sectors, well, you see that this investment, it is expensive. It is a lot of money. But truly, deep down, I think that it would have cost us more in terms of no investment than the investment that we did. The comment also in your question was that we're not investing in supporting small companies. Personally, I've been talking about this for the last months, the importance of supporting very small companies, especially throughout COVID, because sometimes you feel that you're only supporting big companies and the little ones are being left out. And that's really unfortunate. Today, if you look at the programs in Quebec, they really focus on loans and it's basically loans that they're focusing on, which I don't think is the right approach. I think that there should be subsidies going to very small companies. Any company that wants to innovate, we should be investing heavily in those companies. And especially when you look at the different regions in Quebec, there are areas where this is going to be critical. It's going to mean the end or the end of a region, the end of a city, the end of a locality. So we want to make sure that we do these investments. So I am actually in favor of supporting a lot of the small and medium companies. And when I was in government, we had a program called Manufacturier Innovant, and we spent and invested a lot of money with small and medium-sized companies. And this is something that I would continue to do because most companies are in that size in Quebec.
Okay. Susan Brabant asked a question that has long been on my mind. I would ask her, why is it that newcomers to Quebec are offered French lessons for free and long-term residents don't have access to the same lessons?
Aha, very good question. I agree, and that's why Greg, my colleague, decided to propose a bill that would allow anybody that wants to take French lessons to actually get them for free. This is something that we put on the table before COVID. So even it was in 2019. This is something that we want to push forward. When we think about the language, very often, unfortunately, it's really a divide between the French and the English and Bill 101 and all those questions. And I think there is a way to look at things that is looking forward where people feel that they actually belong. And I think the sense of belonging is really critical. And when people see that you have immigrants coming, they get French lessons, but some of the people that have been here would need to get the same level of support and not getting it, they don't feel that there is this connection. It is a disconnect. So we have a proposal, a concrete proposal in order to fix exactly that going forward. So it was presented in 2019, and we would like to see it move forward with the current government, if not with the Liberal government that's going to be in power in 2022.
Okay. Last question on the same lines, same topic basically. From Richard Masterton. The previous Liberal government enhanced and supported Bill 101 greatly, and now the CAQ is looking to do the same. What are your feelings or plans on this?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the government, the CAC government, is going to be bringing forward. I think, as the Liberal Party, we need to think about what is it that we want to do ourselves. Again, there was the proposal that we brought last in 2019. I think we can do more. What I'm really interested in is really finding a way where, again, people feel a sense of belonging. There are people on the Montreal Island. They tell me, so, I've been to New York, I've been to Toronto, I've never been to Quebec City. How can we get our younger generation to spend more time in the regions? How do we get the people in the regions to spend more time in Montreal and get better understanding of what's of the differences? I think it's really critical. I've been in every single region of Quebec. I've been traveling for the last 5 years across the regions, and I find that there are a lot more things that unite us than divide us. But unfortunately, sometimes we get stuck in our own ways. And I would like to think about the language in the French language of a way to unite all of us, respecting the benefit of having English as well for obvious reasons. And if we could make it in a positive way, that's what I would be excited about. Unfortunately, that's not what's. Given the fact that we went through Bill 21, that we went through Bill 40 around the Commission Scolaire, I don't know if the political will is really there to make sure that we unite rather than divide people, but this is definitely the approach that I would take.
Okay, one of the questions, I didn't write it down exactly. I have got tons more in my head, but there is a wish from the population right across from Quebec, from us as people to politicians in general, not necessarily the Liberal Party or any party, or Quebec and Canada. We would like to see less discord and less demonstration of negative energy between the parties. We understand that is your job to raise. It's the way in which it's raised. It's the bashing on social media, the bashing in Parliament. Is there not a way that we could pull ourselves together and do the job without, and make it a better example for the children that are watching?
I think there are different ways. The tone is really important. For me, it's not about, so for example, when I look at the Coalition Québec, Québec Solidaire and PQ, it's not about me bashing the CAQ, it's about raising facts and discussing, I think we would be better off if we could be using facts in order to make decisions and in order to address the policy making that we're doing. So, I'm an engineer by training. I like to see numbers. I like to see facts. I like to see how the decisions are being made, and we can have a conversation. Nobody needs to yell, to yell or to raise their voice in order to make it happen. And common sense should really prevail. All this being said, we are part of different parties because we don't agree many times on the way we should be handling politics and the way we should be doing policies. And we have to be able to say this in a respectful way, but also in a way that, when I don't agree with something, I want to say that I don't agree with something.
I don't think anybody disputes that. It's the way that we're showing our children how to behave. There's not anybody that's going to let anybody watch the live stream. If you're not going to let your kids watch that live stream.
So I agree with you. So I think there is a way, and I think there are topics. For example, DPJ, la Direction de la Protection de la Jeunesse. When you have a child that dies in horrible circumstances, I don't think it's a question of CAC or Liberal or PQ or QS. I think it's a question of everybody is involved in this, and everybody should be involved in this. And that's why a good example is that transpartisan committee that was put forward, brought together the different parties in order to work, and they're going to bring their recommendations. Now, what I hope is that once we get those recommendations, that we act upon those recommendations. But these are topics where we should all agree that this is the right thing to do, and we should improve the way we do things. But not every topic is that way. Not every proposal is that way. But I try, Rhonda, I try to be as constructive as I can. When I see something that doesn't look right, doesn't sound right, isn't right, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it loud and clear. But I can also, at the same time, propose my perspective, bring forward ideas that are constructive. And again, this is the way I want to do politics. And I hope people see a change of tone, but also I hope that people realize that what we're bringing forward is a modern way of doing politics.
I'd like to see that myself. All right, and we want to thank you, Dominique, for a great interview. We're happy to have had you. And if you have anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Well, thank you for the people that are listening. Maybe one thing that I would like to add, I decided to run for the leadership race, decided to enter politics because I really believe that an ideal society is a society where every single person can really reach its fullest potential, where every region can reach its fullest potential. And I think this is what I really care about. So if you have ideas and you see things that are not working the way they should be, and I know that there are many of them, but that you're really passionate about, reach out to us, because I think this is how we're going to change society ultimately. And at the end, I would like to come up in 2022 with a project, with a vision of society that's going to be uniting all Quebec and no more division in terms of generation, regions versus the metropolis, or English versus French, but we're all moving forward in the same direction. I think we need this in Quebec.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us at the West Island Blog. I'm Rhonda Massad, and that was Dominique Anglade, head of the Liberal Party of Quebec.